everybody. Get your daddy out of the field, get your mama out of the kitchen. You get your brother and sister out on the fields playing with the lambs and the sheep.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ronald Ray here, your boy with a cornbread accent. Welcoming you to episode 2 of Wrestling Gold Friday Night. Going to talk about the little history here, going back in time and point out little news bits from April 19th of different dates through the history of wrestling, if I can spit it out. Also, we're going to have a watch along here of Continental Championship Wrestling. I believe let's see, let me get the right date here. It is from January 4th of 1986. But before I get to it too heavy here, let me just do the whole sales pitch here. Hey, if you like what you hear, hit the like button. Join us in the chat here. Also, if you catch a replay, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, be a champion. Hit that subscribe button if this is your first time watching. Going to sit here and wait a couple of seconds, see if anybody joins me in the chat here. But as usual, I usually start off with talk about a little bit of history. Going to run through some dates here and tell you what happened on this date, April 19th. Let's start with April 19th of 1980. In Greensboro, South Carolina, Ric Flair defeated Jimmy Superfly Snuka to win the NWA Mid-Atlantic United States Heavyweight Championship. Basically, the Jim Crockett version of the United States Championship. Looks like the same one that the Sheik held in Detroit. But actually, last night on our live stream, we was talking about belts, and that one does look a little dated. They got that same design for the Billy Corbin NWA. It's quite dated a little bit. Back then it looked good. Nowadays, not so much. But yeah, Ric Flair did defeat Jimmy Snuka. I forgot how many times he held that United States Championship before he actually, I think 81. 82 maybe, his first world title, but we'll probably catch up on that later on. Also on this date, whoa, where'd I go? Let's see here. Oops. Oh well. Do y'all want to see me or see Bill Watts? Just kidding. That's my crack team of producers working hard as usual. Anyway, on this date in 1986, the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk, defeated Magnum TA and Ron Garvin to win the first annual Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament held in New Orleans. That's why you see Bill Watts here. The Superdome was Bill Watts' building, so to speak. He, ran Louisiana, Oklahoma, I think the parts of Texas. Not maybe who was it? Paul Bosch. He sometimes partner up with, but to run Texas, we sometimes have the Von Erichs maybe. But yeah, so the Superdome was actually Bill Watts' building, basically his Madison Square Garden, basically, or his Omni, like uh, in those promotions, WWF and NWA or Georgia Championship Wrestling. But this was the Mid South UWF building at the time. Uh, they ran a thing and said, "Hell yeah, all these towns, place bids," and Bill Watts won the bid or whatever, and they held a tournament there. It was nothing but tag teams. It was of course the Road Warriors, Ron Garvin and Magnum TA, Fabulous Ones, Fantastics. I believe the Sheep Herders, Tiger Mask, and Giant Baba was also in that tournament. A host of other people, but like I said, uh, definitely remember them hyping this up. Had the whole press conference thing where Bill Watts was announcing, yes, we won the bid for the first annual Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup. It's kind of strange. It should have probably been Greensboro Coliseum since it was Jim Crockett, but uh, they wound up having it in New Orleans, and the Road Warriors won it. I was like, oh wow, wait a minute, they beat Madam TA and Ron Garvin. I thought they were all friends, but I guess I was a little too young to understand the concept of babyface matches. Let's see. And back in this day in 1987, speaking of going through a loop here, Big Bubba Rogers defeated the one man gang for the UWF Heavyweight Championship. Kind of strange because Skandar Akbar, managed one man gang. Then he wound up managing Big Bubba Rogers. And of course, one man gang, I guess this was his last match before he went to WWF. Of course, when he went to WWF, he did compete, wrestle as the one man gang until they thought that was going to be cute and call him or Akeem the African Dream. But of course, Big Boss Man will later also go to WWF as the Big Boss Man. Him and Akeem would team up as the Twin Towers. So, a lot of history there. Let's see, on this date in 1998, WCW presented Spring Stampede from Denver Coliseum and Denver, Colorado. Uh, wow. I'm not sure. Mm, Not sure how big the building was, and not sure about these numbers, but I just kind of copy and paste these, from the internet. So take it for that for what it's worth. So yeah, apparently 7,428 were in attendance, with 275,000 people or 275,000 homes watching on pay per view, which is up from the 1997 edition. Um, but yeah, that's uh, like I said, I don't know how many people fit in the Denver Coliseum, especially when it's still the Monday Night Wars was still white hot at the time, so that was kind of like I said, I guess I should have looked up what the seat arrangement was at Denver Coliseum. That under 10,000 kind of not great, but anyway, on the card, Goldberg would defeat Perry Saturn to earn a WCW United States Championship match. Ultimo Dragon defeated Chavo Guerrero Jr. Booker T defeated Chris Benoit to retain the WCW World Television Championship. Kurt Hennig defeated the British Bulldog. Chris Jericho defeated Prince Ikea to retain the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Rick Steiner and Lex Luger defeated Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell. Psychosis defeated La Parka. Hollywood Hogan and Kevin Nash defeated Roddy Piper and the Giant in a baseball bat on a pole match. Raven defeated Diamond Dallas Page in a Ravens Rules match to win the WCW United States Championship, which I guess if you can't take a guess, Monday Nitro, I think, was in Atlanta. If I'm wrong, please please correct me, but I think that Monday night they were in Atlanta and Goldberg won the United States Championship. So, uh, so poor Raven. Uh, only held the WCW Championship for one night before having to drop it to Bill Goldberg. Joe King, still a big fan of WCW. This was a stacked card here. I mean, especially at the time, it was a big card here. I mean, a lot of even underground or the undercard talent. I mean, Ultimo Dragon, dude I was a fan of Ultimo Dragon. Um, Kurt Kurt Hennig was there. Uh, he was still good at time. I mean, he might have been phone of the damn, but uh, I mean that's supposedly his words, not mine. Uh, but hey, he still looked good. Still had good matches. Chris Jericho, a young Chris Jericho, uh, when he was getting his rhythm now, he's starting to show his personality a little bit, or starting to have a personality at this time. Then you had your big stars, Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash, Roddy Piper and the Giant. And of course, the main event of that show was Randy Savage versus Sting for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and no disqualification match. And Randy Savage won this match. Not sure why. Still to this day, I was like, when I watched the pay per view, I'm like, it's like really they made Sting drop it that quickly, to Randy. I mean, nothing against Randy Savage, but that was pretty quick. Not a long reign at all as a WCW champion. Of course, this is when he came back after you know hanging out in the rafters for a year. Uh, but all in all, I do remember that. Yeah, that's. Like Joe King was saying, they had some good talent, especially yeah, they did. I mean, name them all, I guess here. I mean, Prince IK, he was serviceable. I mean, you know, he wasn't really, setting the world on fire, but he was decent, you know. Uh, but like I said, I was a big fan of Ultimo Dragon. Um, Not sure what Rey Mysterio and all these the other ones were, but speaking of Rey Mysterio, on this date in 19, whoops, excuse me, yep, on this date in 1999, Psychosis defeated Rey Mysterio Jr. and Blitzkrieg in a four-way match to win the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Um, don't remember his reign that. I mean, him and Rey Mysterio had some kick-ass matches. You talk about undercard, and of course, this is when Prime, healthy, 100% Rey Mysterio, probably 9.99. Well, yeah, a little bit 99. I think he had just lost a mask uh, around this time, but yeah, I mean, him and or Psychosis and Rey Mysterio had some solid matches. And of course, that's what got them hired in WCW. I think has been well documented that I guess it was Eric Bischoff or somebody in WCW seen the Psychosis and Rey Mysterio Jr. match at the ECW arena, and if it wasn't Eric Bischoff, it was somebody who had Eric Bischoff's ear and said, "Hey, you gotta sign these guys. These guys are awesome." And at that time they were. I mean, talking about trend setting. I mean, the stuff you see now. I mean, it was good. Not. Yeah, I mean they. It was high risk, but and sometimes they put the high risk maneuvers in the right spots. But like I said, talking about flippy people, these were the original flippy people, and like I said, trendsetters here. Um, anyway, moving along here. In 2002, Colt Cabana defeated CM Punk and Eddie Guerrero in a three-way match to win the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight Championship. Let's see. Now we're getting a little too current here. Uh, Back in 2003, Chris Benoit and Edge defeated Ric Flair and Batista to win the WWE World Tag Team Championship. This would make Chris Benoit a double champion, of course, because he held the World Heavyweight Championship. He had won that Championship at WrestleMania 20 against Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Then he went nuts. Okay, a few years later, 4 years later, he went nuts, and nobody hardly speaks of him. And why start now? We'll talk about Edge later. Let's see. In 2009, TNA presented Lockdown at the Lorcoris Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is, of course, the pay-per-view where all matches took place in a cage. Pre-show match, Eric Young defeated Danny Bonaducci. Yeah, long before, I guess, he became a little more serious. He was always kind of a comedy act. So for me personally, I like Eric Young, but it was kind of hard for me to switch gears to, take him seriously from doing comedy for so many years, and all of a sudden he's serious and he's part of the band and all that. Kind of cringy to start with, but um, I guess he figured it out. Uh, let's see. Well, like I said, last night we was talking about championship belts. I think that was the second design TNA X Division Championship belt, and that one looked pretty sharp. TNA does do a pretty good job on their belts too. But anyway, Suicide defeated Abdul Bashar. That kid right there, I don't know if you remember that. Not sure what happened to that kid. I think that kid did pretty good for himself. Consequences Creed, or Awesome Creed, if you watched them, or Awesome Austin Creed and Anarchy Wrestling in Cornelia, Georgia, and a lot of the Southeast independents. Um, Jay Lethal and Kiyoshi. Let's see, whatever happened to Kiyoshi? Not sure what happened to Kiyoshi and Black Machismo. Of course, Black Machismo is Jay Lethal, but Suicide did keep his championship. I believe this was. I'm gonna take a guess here. This might have been the man. I'm gonna take a guess here, and this was the Christopher Daniels version, or Christopher Daniels. Either him or Frankie Kazarian at the time was Suicide. So yeah, you wonder why TNA kind of started had a hard time. They put Christopher Daniels in a mask and called him Suicide for a while. Then Frankie Kazarian did the role. Basically, uh, Suicide was a character in the video game TNA. What was it? Cross the Line. I think that's the name of their video game. I think I played the game for like 10 minutes and it sucked. I think I played it one match and it kind of sucked. So I never did buy it. Luckily, luckily, sometimes it's good to have friends who'll just pick shit up, buy shit. That way you test it out and be like, oh, this fucking sucks. But yeah, he was the original character from the video game, and of course he came alive. He's alive, suicide, or how the fuck the song went. Let's see, ODB defeated Daphne, Madison Rain, and uh, Soldier Bolt in a Queen of the Cage match. Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin defeated No Limit, NATO, and Urgo, and the Latin American Exchange, Hernandez, and Homicide to retain the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. And then, okay, why was Sean Hernandez in that match if it was for the Junior Heavyweight Championship? Because he was kind of a big boy. uh, I mean, not fat, but he was ripped. He was a powerhouse. Um, let's see. Matt Morgan defeated Abyss in a Doomsday Chamber of Blood match. Angelina Love defeated Awesome Kong and Taylor Wilde in a three-way match to retain the TNA Knockouts Championship. Those three women were very talented. Uh, Man, this sucked about Awesome Kong. She finally made it to WWE, then uh, got pregnant. And unfortunately, I think she miscarried or lost it. Uh, Hello, Brenda Watson. Uh, I guess she's raising her hand here. Um, but Taylor Wilde, Taylor Wilde, she was pretty good. Angelina Love, she was okay singles. I liked her character better. Part of the Beautiful People. Um, with you know, uh, can't even think of their names right now. Sun just killed me today. It was a hot day here in Georgia, but with the Beautiful People, uh, love that little like that little group, and of course, Awesome Kong was definitely awesome. And if I sometimes digress when I do this, if you ever get a chance to go on YouTube or whatever, or if you have somebody who has the you shoot Awesome Kong, watch it. And why they never, I mean, okay, sometimes you got to um, change it up a little bit. And if they would have persuaded her to kind of change her character up a little bit and maybe talk, oh my gosh, should have been over. Um, I know probably the WWE would have, but she has got tons of personality. But she had that role as a powerhouse, and of course, you know, kind of has some mystique to it too. So that's the reason I sit here and bullshit about it and don't run my own company. Plus, I don't have the money to and contacts and all that good shit. Anyway, Team 3D, Brother Devon and Brother Ray. Of course, you know them better as the Dudley Boys. They defeated Beer Money Incorporated. That was James Storm and Robert Roode in a winner take all Philadelphia street fight to retain the IWGP Tag Team Championship and the TNA World Tag Team Championship. So, if you hear about some other company and some other big promotion talking about breaking that class ceiling and having Japan people come in or other luchador promotions come in, TNA kind of did it before they did. Just saying. Anyway, so let's see. After that, we had Team Jarrett, AJ Styles, Christopher. Okay, I guess Wilson, Christopher Daniels. It might have been Frankie Kazarian at the time. Anyway, AJ Styles, uh, Daniels, or Christopher Daniels, Jeff Jarrett, and Samoa Joe defeated Team Angle, Booker T, Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, and Scott Steiner in a lethal lockdown match. And the main event was Sting defended the TNA World Championship against Mick Foley. Mick Foley winds up winning that match. My gosh, April is not a good month for the Stinger, or especially April 19th. Let's see, in 2010, during an Impact TV taping, Rob Van Dam defeated AJ Styles to win the TNA World Championship. And last but not least, back in 2012, Edge's contract was set to run out at the end of the month. And I guess they were talking about it not being renewed. It didn't matter. Edge retired from in-ring competition a year prior due to cervical spinal stenosis. But he would actually make a return in the 2020 Royal Rumble. Now, of course, spill the beans here. His real name is Adam Copeland. He is now in AEW. He is their TNT champion. And that does it for a little history today in wrestling history. Um, yeah, a lot of notable events here, especially that. And we briefly talked about last week about tag teams. I mean, like I said, you had the best of the best tag teams in that Jim Crockett Memorial Cup tournament. Don't have a huge presentation lined up for that, but let me see here right quick on the Google machine. Cup. What? Let's see. Oh, come on. So yeah, you had. Wait a minute. Was this 86? Yeah, this. So you had Arn Anderson, Tola Blanchard, Giant Baba Tiger Mask, as I mentioned before, the Barbarian and Baron Von Raschke. Uh, Probably not a noble tag team. The Bat Twins, who were, I guess their home promotion was Central States. Usually, if they ventured out of Central States, they were kind of used as mid Carter or jobber somewhat, but they were actually twins. I think one of them passed away recently, I believe. Let me look that up too, right quick. Oh, I think they were used pretty good in Puerto Rico too. Um, Oops. Well, I don't see it just yet here. Actually, okay. I think Batten passed away. Heart attack in 2014. So Bart's still with us. Brad passed away in 2014. I knew one of them passed away. Let's see. Go back to here. Oops. Uh, Again, like I said, Dino Bravo and Rick Martel, they were, constant tag team partners up in Canada. Not for Stampede. I forgot the name of the. I think it was called IWA as well. It's around Montreal and all that. Let's see. Black Bar. I mean, their names: Black Bar, Jimmy Garvin. There's two guys they put as a team. Bill Dundee and Bill Buddy Landell. Oh my gosh, that's got to be a future episode of Wrestling Gold Friday Night. The episode of the Memphis Wrestling where it had the Bill and Buddy show. Very entertaining stuff. Mentioned four fabulous ones, fantastics. Uh, the Los Guerreros, Chavo and Hector Guerrero. Sam Houston, Nelson Rule. They were kind of underneath talent, uh, enhancement talent sometimes. Uh, Weird team here. Italian Stallion, Coco Ware. Definitely a put together team. Wahoo McDaniel and Mark Youngblood, they teamed together before in Jim Crockett Promotions. The Midnight Express, this would have been the Dennis Country and Bobby Eaton. DJ Peterson and Brent Wayne. Rock and Roll Express, Russians, Ivan and Nikita Koloff. And the Sheepherders. I mentioned Sheepherders before. And of course, some of you kids will recognize, probably don't know the Sheepherders name, but you know the Bushwhackers name. Um, but yeah, back when I was a kid, the Sheepherders were a feared uh, heel tag team who would compete in these barbed wire matches, bloody matches, uh, won tag straps everywhere they went. Uh, I think where was it last week on uh, Wrestling Gold, or was it last week on the spot show where I mentioned there was a match between the Sheepherders and Jack Victory against the Fantastics and Terry Taylor in a barbed wire cage match. Might have to bring that one up one day. Um, let's see, and the final tag team mention here is Terry Taylor and Steve Williams. Williams is supposed to have been Ted DiBiase, but DiBiase got injured. But a lot of talent tag teams. Excuse me. Um, yeah, like I said, I actually you can catch the whole Crocker Cup, I do believe, uh, on YouTube. I think I know one of them's on YouTube. The other one, if you go on the, might still be on the Peacock WWE network. But but I think the actual full card is on YouTube. Uh, but yeah, like I say, a lot of great tag teams, good stuff here. Um, not going to read you the whole everything because it was what we got here: first round, second round, quarterfinals, all that good stuff. Um, if you want to see like all the tag teams that like the different tag teams of different from different territories, I think this was the one. The one in '87 was just primarily Crockett guys. Um, yeah, I mean, well, you had uh, like some of the talent on this one. On the '87 one was Arn Anderson team with Kevin Sullivan. It was supposed to be Ole, but that's when Ole got kicked out of the Four Horsemen. Bob Armstrong just came into Jim Crockett promotion, so he teamed up with Brad. Giant Baba and Asawa Takagi. Uh, I guess that's the only international team there. I guess Bob Berry and Bill Dundee might have been in Central States at the time. I think Crockett had owned that by this time. Tully Blanchard and Lex Luger, Danny Brown and Chris Champion. And I think around this time, Chris Champion's team was Sean Royal, but I think they had a split there. Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude, who were the NWA World Tag Team Champions at the time. Ronnie and Jimmy Garvin, Mike Graham and Nelson Royal. So I guess, Mike Graham was in Florida, but still, I think Jim Crockett had bought Florida at the time. Tim Horner and Mike Rotunda. He was a Florida champion at the time, I do believe. Italian Stallion and Ricky Lee Jones. Uh, wow. He's the brother of Robert Gibson. Hmm. Oh, is this Ricky Gibson? Ah, yes, that's actually Ricky Gibson. I guess he made a little bit of try to make a comeback. Bobby Jaggers and Rocky King, but Bobby Jaggers at the time was teamed up with Judgment. Okay. Bobby Jaggers, who, let's see. Okay, Bobby Jaggers, I guess was, uh, actually he was born in Washington, but he was always been billed as being from Kansas. Um, but at the time he was teamed up with Dutch Mantel, who never said he was from Kansas. Always been from Oilthorpe, Texas. But they teamed up and called themselves the Kansas Jayhawks. But I guess Dutch Mantel had left at the time. Steve Kern and George South. I guess Steve Kern was supposed to have teamed up with Stan Lane as a Fabulous Ones game, but Stan Lane became a Midnight Express. Um, so TJ O'Connor and Shashka Watley, Lasertron, Hector Guerrero making his return to the tournament. He was actually the NWA World Junior Champion at the time, team with Jimmy Valiant. Let's see, Wahoo Medaniel, just two guys thrown together. Wahoo Medaniel and Baron Von Raschke. The Midnight Express at this time was Bobby and Stan Lane. The Mod Squad, they were out of Florida. The Road Warriors, Rock and Roll Express, Russian, Ivan Koloff and Vladimir Pyatrov, and the Superpowers, Nikita Koloff and Dusty Rhodes, and also the Thunderfoots 1 and 2, who were enhancement talents for for Crockett. Uh, but that was the following year. And I think '88 is the one with Sting and, well, I might be wrong. Yeah, Sting and Luger won the '88 one, which was the last one under Jim Crockett. It didn't reappear again until 2019, and I don't think anybody cares. Yeah, it's not really negative. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you want to see like other uh territory guys instead of the same Crockett people, uh, people probably fancy themselves like in the first one. Uh, of course, the second one was kind of emotional. That's the first time, uh, first public appearance of Magnum TA after his car accident. So that definitely pulled on the heartstrings on that one. Um, but uh, yeah, the Devil Twins. I must put a couple people in masks. But yeah, I think third one was mainly Crockett people. I mean, I'm looking on here now. I think the Green Machine. Yeah, maybe a couple Florida people here. Yeah, they brought in a couple of people, but not like not like the Fantastics, or the fabulous ones who didn't compete with Crockett. Um, but no, it wasn't a negative thing. But still, it was like I said, if you want to see other teams from get that, okay, this is an invitational thing, whatever. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The 88 one or the 87, 88, and 88 one that kind of tied into their storylines, and it was all mainly Crockett people. The first one, like I said, was it kind of had that okay, yeah, this is the Jim Clark Steamer World Cup, but we're inviting all these other teams from different territories or promotions. Um, so that kind of had that feel of it. And of course, the Road Warriors won that one. Just more cementing their legendary status because they wound up becoming the only team. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think they were the only team to hold the AWA, NWA, and WWF Tag Team Championships, plus Tag Team Championships in Japan, six-man tag team champs with Dusty Rhodes, of course. But yeah, it's like I said, not a bad thing, but it just didn't have that same feel. Like I'm looking at the one from '88, and I mean, like Sting and Luger were kind of thrown together because Sting was supposed to return team with Ron Garvin, but Garvin got injured. Of course, Lex Luger and Barry Windham were supposed to team with each other, but before the tournament, they were actually the NWA World Tag Team Champions. But that's when Barry turned against Lex Luger and joined the Four Horsemen. Yeah, Road Warriors are fucking awesome. Yeah, that's why I'm saying. I think to me the first one just had that better, you know, feel of it. Because, like I said, I mean, I'm looking at the third one, and I don't think anybody thought anything of Chris Champion and Mark Starr at the time. And of course, this was before they went to Memphis and you know uh, actually formed a tag team called Wildside. Did not know at the time they were brothers. At the time when they went to Memphis, uh, it was just Chris Champion, Mark Starr. I should have caught it when I guess Mark Starr decided to leave and they kicked him out of the Wild Side. Him, Ronnie Gossett did. Then Ronnie Gossett was on a promo. I actually kind of watched this like a couple of years ago, and it, like I said, when I was a kid, it didn't really dawn on me uh, at the time. I guess I really wasn't paying attention to promos because I actually thought the Wild Side tag team was actually pretty good. Like the New Breed tag team with Chris Champion and Sean Royal. But anyway, but yeah, I didn't know at the time they were real brothers. So years later, when I found out, I think it was through the Chris Champion Shooter review. They said, yeah, me and my brother Mark, and then looked it up. It's like, wait a minute, they're really freaking brothers. Did not know that. Um, but yeah, their status at the time, especially in Crockett, didn't nobody think they was gonna win. I mean, Joe Cruz and Ricky Santana, Cruel Connection 1 and 2, they were in that tournament. The Fantastic were in it, but they had joined Crockett NWA, which this might have been. Let's see. I guess this was, I guess, last Jim Crockett thing, kind of before Ted Turner bought it. So, anyways, the undercard of that was Jimmy Garvin. Yeah, they had a lot of um, just a bunch of storyline, like you said, a bunch of storylines, kind of tied up to it. Not really the mass appeal that the first one was, as far as just that uh, all the top tag teams in the world coming here to compete. Second one, Third one, definitely not. It was just all Crockett people, basically. Let's see here. All right, are we ready for a little watch along? Oh yeah, before I forget, want to thank Armstrong Alley. They won. I got the video from. Let's see. Of course, they posted 6 years ago. This was a one before I started. Of course, this is episode 2. Before I even thought of doing a Friday night talking about classic wrestling, um, there was I did do a couple of watch alongs on Spot Show live stream. Then I was like, you know what? We need to just have a whole. Well, I thought, not we, me, because there's no we. Thought that, hey, I just need to just devote a whole show, and I'll do a watch along and kind of do that. But I did email this person. I think it's for this episode right here. Don't know why this episode, but definitely this episode. Oops, let's not do that. Let's click this. And like I say, this part of the watch long, I'll cut the volume down a little bit and kind of talk over it, kind of share my memories of this, and because this one I do believe I actually watched at one time, probably when I was a kid, but the late great Gordon Soley is doing the commentary for this because I think besides Memphis and Texas, uh, he was all over the southeast. I guess this time he definitely went doing Crockett. Um, Crockett, uh, I don't know. For whatever reason, Crockett didn't want him to do it. He was happy with David Crockett, Tony Schiavone, Bob Caudle, and Johnny Weaver doing a commentary on all of his shows. So even the TBS, Channel 17 World Championship Wrestling, when Crockett ran it, it was Tony Schiavone and David Crockett. Then once he bought UWF, he brought in Jim Ross. And it was a 3-man team and kind of pushed Crockett out of the way a little bit, I think. And Tony left, go to WWF, and then whatever. It's a little hazy there. Can't remember every little thing. Kids, you'll get that way when you're my age. Don't worry. But one of the things I will do, I'm going to, if you don't want to hear me babble about it, you going to put the link here in the chat, so you can watch it, listen to the commentary, and or if you want to try to do a little of both, listen to me babble about it, and listen to uh, Gordon Soley commentate. I'll definitely will make sure I'll at least try to let everybody listen to the promos, but uh, sometimes I like to babble a lot, but sometimes I like to babble a lot about wrestling, especially the classic stuff. there's a link to it. Uh, Basically, just treat it like, you know, you're sitting while you're with your buddies, you're watching it, and of course you're gonna do your own commentary, uh, talk about it, and give your opinions of it. So, without no further ado, let's hopefully that y'all don't hear that part. And I'm gonna.
Thank you so very much, and welcome to 1986 and another great hour of Continental Championship Wrestling. Let me just say that due to the tremendous set of circumstances that have occurred during the past 2 weeks and the last week of 1985, we're going to take just a couple of moments at the onset of the program to tell you about, well, some disastrous news regarding Roy Lee Welch and some very exciting news. First of all, let me bring in my good friend, C. Ronald West. You perhaps know him better as Ronnie West, the troubleshooting referee for the NWA, and also the events coordinator for Continental Championship Wrestling. And you are taking on some awesome duties, Ron.
Yeah. That's right, Gordon. Before I get started back, I'd like to say throughout my travels
Ronnie West,
NWA,
hearing about.
it's a pleasure to be back to the #1 host in professional wrestling, Gordon Silver.
There he is.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Didn't he wind up buying it from the Fullers later on and call it the Continental Wrestling Federation?
And also the new event coordinator, which I'll be going out all the smaller cities around, large cities, anybody that would like to sponsor Continental Championship Wrestling, contact me and we'll definitely set up a date, bring the stars of Continental Wrestling to your area.
All right, now we're talking about...
All right, call the number, bring them here.
High school gymnasiums with a portion of the proceeds going to the athletic fund and various civic organizations and all of that around the state, right?
That's right. It's a good way if somebody likes, raise some money for any kind of cause, we'll definitely be in contact with them.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, later on during the program, we'll be flashing up the number where you can reach C. Ronald West, and as I say, call him Ronnie because that's what he prefers. Now, one other thing, Ron, the situation with the U.S. Junior Heavyweight Championship, a real tough break, and I don't mean that as a pun for Roy Lee Welch.
That's right. As a member of the NWA, Bob Gallagher brought me, he told me about what had happened to Roy Lee, and it's going to be a very complicated thing to see what will happen here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this very special tag team event, special 15-minute time limit. First of all, in the ring at a combined weight of 430 pounds, here are Larry Clark and the Inferno. And ladies and gentlemen, making their way to ringside, their opponents at a combined weight of 444 pounds. Here are Tommy and Johnny Red.
And of course, this right here will be a main event anywhere in the country. As Tommy and Johnny Rich takes on the Inferno and Larry Clark.
Tommy Wildfire Rich and Johnny Crash Rich going up against Larry Clark.
He's the
one with the beard.
Were they really legit cousins?
One with a mask, and it's Johnny Rich moving out first.
See, this is what happens when you watch stuff like this, and then years later they tell you it's all over. I mean, my heart broke when I found out that Ole and Chief Anderson weren't really brothers.
By the way, let me remind you once again, if you're an athletic director at a high school or a member of a civic club in your community, and you'd like to have Continental Championship Wrestling in your community,
kind of the big star like
we have
Tommy
a
did.
proper facility,
Of course, this is at least a couple years after his big run in Atlanta.
Events coordinator,
but still in the Southwest.
And you'll be seeing the
it was
number
well
on your
used, put on top.
Call C. Ronald West and talk to him about the possibility. Perhaps we can help you in a beautiful double teaming there. Excellent double drop kick.
If you ask me, since they do sometimes they put people in the WWE Hall of Fame, like they did the time they came to Atlanta, Abdullah the Butcher, they put him in, and Bob Armstrong. Neither one of them really did ever work for Vince.
Got him coming on, perfectly executed power slam.
I say Tommy Rich is going up WWE Hall of Fame. Why not? I mean, I know it's kind of hard to fathom now, but Tommy Rich was a huge, huge star in Atlanta. I mean, when TBS going national, he was probably one of the top baby faces in the country. I I mean, you know, he did. I think he held the title for like 4 or 6 days. Not really a full week. Up the blind tag.
And it's Johnny Rich who had made the tag. Caught him with a beautiful lariat. As the Inferno moves in, it's Johnny Rich and Tommy Rich now.
Oh, who's running down here? It is. That is Ken Wayne and Danny Davis, the Nightmares.
Johnny Rich hurled to one side as the Nightmares hit the ring. Double suplex by the Nightmares. Rich in trouble. Now they're catching Johnny Rich outside the ring. Now what are they doing?
Uh-oh.
Johnny Rich outside the ring and in trouble. Meanwhile, Clark and the what are they doing? Oh,
Okay.
No, they are.
They're not using chocolate syrup.
They're literally tar and feathering
Well, I guess. Yep.
Johnny Rich outside the ring. Tommy Rich unaware of what's happening. Johnny Rich being doused.
Let's just say that this angle probably would not be done at all. It doesn't matter who's the recipient. This angle probably would not happen today. People are a little too sensitive. Yeah, Bob went in because of Road Dogg, but you know, Abdul the Butcher went in, and he's nobody's family. And
It's the 8th annual Night of Champions. In a Southeastern Tag Team Championship, Tommy and Johnny Rich against the Nightmares. In a 20th Night of Champions. In a Southeastern Tag Team Championship, Tommy and Johnny Rich against the Nightmares. $1,000 bounty match, the Bullet against Mr. Olympia. The Continental title, Brad Armstrong against Robert Fuller. The Alabama title, Roberto Soto against Boomer H. Lynch. The Southeastern title, Norvell Austin, seconded by Lady Maxine against the exotic Adrian Street, seconded by Miss Linda. And the U.S. Junior title as well. Well, I've just witnessed one of the most deplorable acts of bad sportsmanship in my life.
That's not bad sportsmanship.
and Nightmares were a pretty good tag team. Ken Wayne is a kind of is a POS, as we found out later on, but Google it. I'm not going to explain it. And Danny Davis, he was the original owner of Ohio Valley Wrestling. Helped train Randy Orton, John Cena.
Nightmares, you can make one damn bet, Jack.
Hey, you can't be cursing on TV.
You're talking about it's over. Well, it's far from over. You take a good look, because we're going to wrestle.
I mean, he might have, but I just don't recall it.
Every night that Johnny and Tommy Rich
I don't recall Abdullah ever really. I mean, I guess we can look it up, but if he did, it was like a short time, and it might have been under senior.
Well, the tides change. You just be looking over your shoulder from now on, Nightmares. Any town we're in, you can be watching for.
Enjoy your moment while you can.
Hey, we don't have to look over our shoulder, baby. We've done our damage. We're the greatest.
Yeah, well, be watching for these men in the Night of the Champions. I'll guarantee you justice will be served. The riches will seek vengeance.
Ladies and gentlemen, this special match, one fall, 15
Ah, yes.
in the ring at 214 pounds from Memphis, Tennessee. Here is Jason Walker.
Okay, this is probably one of the best not copyrighted entrance music. This is actually Adrian Street singing the song for himself. So it wasn't like, you heard on the radio, kind of like, Bass Street USA. Bass Street's still the best, by the way.
The exotic Adrian
Yes,
Street,
he
the
was
Southeastern
a heel
heavyweight
here.
champion.
Doing
From England,
very much the Elton John
accompanied at
inspired
ringside by Miss Linda.
flamboyant gimmick, let's say.
He is indeed a sight to behold.
Okay. See, for a long time too, he would use Miss Linda as a step to get in the ring, but about character. I mean, heel, babyface. He was entertaining. And I would always say, you know, it's like, especially looking at it now, usually what he done in the ring, whether it be heel or babyface, was always the same. He still done those, you know, kind of like Joel does later on. Would just do those spots, and the only thing different would be people would cheer for him when he did those flamboyant spots. Do somebody or something like that. Kiss a dude on the lips. That, you know, and do that to kiss sneaky win. But yes, I'm looking at that now. I am looking at. He did work for WCW, but not.
Okay, the exotic Adrian Street, Southeastern
But
Heavyweight
yeah, I
Champion.
just don't.
Sorry about that, Mike Jackson. Didn't mean to run over you. There he's painted that belt pink, which has raised the ire of a lot of wrestlers. Jason Walker moving out against the exotic Adrian Street. One fall. 15 minutes. And so the exotic one having his outer garments removed.
I just went through
Tell you
Wikipedia,
one thing,
which,
though,
you know, take that for what's
for
worth
all
too.
of the
But
fancy wardrobe that he has,
nothing about
don't ever sell this man short. He is double dangerous.
nothing about him working in
World middleweight amateur wrestling champion, as I've told
the
you each week
WWF
that he
or the
comes out here.
WWW.
Those of you who are not familiar with him,
Pocket or
I want to assure you.
don't shoot here.
Well, now, I don't know what he's doing.
Now he was at one time
Throwing everybody a
managed
little
by the
kiss,
Wizard,
I guess.
but
All right.
like I said, if he was in the WWF,
Jason Walker in the green trunks, and Walker watching his man carefully.
brief cup of coffee. I mean,
And
he's a Grand
Street
Wizard,
now,
you know, sort of wrestled in other
skipping
places.
about the ring, if you will.
But he made his career, you know, working
And
for
again, Street
Vince
backs
and
away. Some psychological warfare going on here. A bit of muscular
the kid,
dexterity,
Jason
and
Walker,
Street
did
very
not
suddenly
know how to-
lashes out, catches Walker. And Walker almost charged in recklessly, but then thought, Walker firing back, Street catches him. Side headlock, and then a boot to the midsection, another one. A forearm, and so Walker. Quick takedown by Street, lateral press. Walker powers out, Street backs away.
Now I don't think it was really long after this that Street did go babyface.
Single leg pickup, you notice
That
how
might have been a
quickly
little.
Street will go back to
might
the
have been towards
basics.
the
And
end
now
of
look
the
at Walker. Reversing nicely, even though his leg is trapped. Gets a
That
ride
just,
going.
You know, Vicente
Now
Carlos,
reverses that
one of
situation.
the few times that Norval Austin was
Has
a
him set for
babyface.
a nice move, but Walker puts himself to a disadvantaged position. Street tying up the leg, now goes after the other arm, tying up the arm rather than goes after the other arm.
And for a few of us, this is like the first time of all seen this
Overhooks the
European
forearm.
European
And
style.
now pounding into the chest, into that thoracic area.
I mean, yeah, I mean he
Arm breaker and drives one to the midsection. So
yeah, he probably,
Street
you know, brung him in for a shot or something like that, and
variety of attacks here.
definitely not a big feud with like Bruno or anybody.
Reversal by Walker. Walker charges in Street. Ducks to one side and Walker in trouble.
Nice sell job, kid.
Walker rolling away from it. Caught that turnbuckle right at belt level. And there you see Miss Linda getting in a
Linda
cheap
just has to
shot
get
as she
involved,
is
don't she?
prone to do. On Jason Walker.
And actually, gosh, I wish I remember the name of the book.
Street
But it was
punishing,
almost a
and it is
breaking
Miss Linda
kayfabe.
pulling the hair of
but, I
Jason
mean,
Walker.
kinda
Walker trying to
was
get
in
away from
between.
it.
Wish I could remember the name
Walker
of it,
caught
but
in the midsection, double
one of the
over.
subjects or one of the chapters was about Adrian Street and how he came to America, and he wasn't really where he was, because Miss Linda was really his wife.
Street driving a knee to the midsection, drives another one. 4 knees to the midsection, and then locks in with a hammer lock, and now continues to drive those knees into the side of the rib cage, onto a snapmare. And Street again, percussion blow to the midsection. Walker's had a lot of wind taken out of his sails.
I don't know how. I do know how, but there we go. You probably hear me a little bit better.
No time, continues to punish Walker.
And yes, in case you're wondering, yeah, Adrian Street and Miss Linda, I guess combined would do all their gear, all their own stuff.
There's that arm breaker and then the elbow to the midsection. And Walker has been steadily deluged with a series of percussions.
And I believe.
And a knee into the midsection, and very quickly lateral press. Got the 3 count. Got the 3 count.
Use a kitchen sink knee drop to the stomach and just dived on him, took his breath away, and
holding up his hand. And it is exotic Adrian. Wait a minute, Jason Walker resenting that. Walker fires away. Street caught in the midsection. Walker not caring that the match is over.
Okay.
Suddenly fires away. He was insulted just one time too many. And Walker now taking a tremendous... Walker now being beaten by the exotic Adrian. Wait a minute.
Here comes Norville Austin.
Norville Austin hits the ring. Norville Austin hits the ring. And brother, is he pounding away on the exotic Adrian Street. Norville Austin hitting the ring. And wait a minute. Miss Linda just tripped him up. Miss Linda just tripped him up. And it is... wait a minute. Who's that coming toward the ring? Who's that coming? Hold on. Hold on. That is some kind of big lady.
And that is Lady Maxine. That chick was like 6 foot plus. Let's just say that. I think first time I seen her was in Mid-South UWF with Jack Victory. I think she didn't have a long career, but I think she was in Florida for a while, Mid-South UWF, and here. But don't really remember that much about her. That she made a few appearances. I think she had like 1 or 2 matches, and even then. But anyway, the end of that match there, I could be wrong. It looked like some of those punches. I guess Jason Walker was legitimate. He didn't care for the 1 foot being on him, and kind of got ticked off and took a shot at Adrian Street, and Street. It almost looked like Street probably lit him up a little bit. I could be wrong. I might have to rewatch that, but like I said, they would always know how to quickly go to a plan B if needed to, and that could have been just a deal where, but looks like Jason Walker kind of jumped up a bit and kind of was just no-selling the fact that he just lost and took a shot at Adrian. And
welcome to Continental Championship Wrestling. Pleasure to be here, Gordon. I want everybody to know that that is not all Street and his girlfriend are going to get from me. I'm coming back and I'm going to be stronger and stronger.
Right on, boy. I know you got a taker on, and I want everybody to see it. We full of surprises around here, baby.
Well, I'll tell you what. Lady Maxine, of course, had sent Candy Divine here. And, of course, we're seeing exactly what's happening right now. And Candy Divine doing everything she can to hold her own. But when you've got somebody like Adrian Street behind you, it's dangerous.
Yes, sir. He will do anything outside the rules. You know, he'll go ahead and he want to fight ladies. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. He's from England, but I'm a red-blooded American, and I love my American women. We don't mistreat our women over here. Look at him, man. He is dogging Candy Divine. He is literally dogging that lady, and it hurts me to see that. But there's some dudes going to be paid around here, and we're going to start right now. Me and Lady Maxine going to take care of business from now on. Now, you see that? He's power driver.
Yeah, she sounds a little bit like a woman there.
He gave her a belly splash right there. Oh, man. I can't believe it.
That, of course, occurred. That incident that we are witnessing on television right now occurred.
So yes, Lady Maxine, she actually
Obviously, completely out of action.
one of her trainers was Fabulous Moolah and Boris Malenko. Don't know who this Donna. I think this Donna Christianello was one of Moolah's girls too. So she wrestled as Mad Maxine in the WWF in 1985, managed by Moolah.
Which means that during the night of champions, it will be you and the man that Roy Lee Welch last wrestled against.
But she wound up leaving there.
Ken Timms.
Well, I'll tell you, I know what it's
She
like to be out
also a
there.
journalist.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to win that belt.
But then she went to Florida from 85 to 86, 86 here in the Continental and UWF in 1986, and that was pretty much it. She just focused on being a journalist.
One fall, special 10-minute time limit. First of all, making his way into the ring at 221 pounds from Louisiana, here is Paul Brown. And ladies and gentlemen, making his way to ringside, he weighs in at a total weight of 215 pounds. He is from Morristown, Tennessee. He is the number 4 ranked junior heavyweight in the world. Here's Mr. White Lightning, Tim Horner.
Tim Horner here, one of close personal friend of Jim Cornette's.
10-minute time limit.
One of Jim Cornette's favorite wrestlers in the world, Tim Horner.
In the blue trunks and,
Yeah, I'm a fan of Tim Horner. He was really good. Him and Brad Armstrong as a tag team, of course. You know how much of a big fan I was of Brad Armstrong. So.
Single leg pickup. Horner, by the way, came out of Morristown East High School.
But he was one of these wrestlers who, kind of a ground game, but really uses quickness. Sometimes we'll use a fancy move here and there. Not really a dive, or completely floppy guy, but he definitely earned the name White Lightning, Tim Horner.
Nickname on Horner, White Lightning, and that is certainly the truth. He is a tremendous competitor. Good move by Horner. Look at that fireman carry takedown. Perfectly executed.
Very smooth in the ring. Can't take, despite what anybody says about him, I mean, he seems like I watched this interview too. He seemed like a pretty cool guy, laid back guy. Not everybody's going to go along. Let's just say that. No use to having to pick sides when you don't really know neither one of the motherfuckers.
I mean, a man who is able to move from move to move to move. All right, head scissors and a quick float over. Hook into a crotch ride, now brings that up. Good ride on the body. Brown makes it to the ring ropes, and that forces the break. Great crowd here at Boutwell Auditorium, deep in the heart of Dixie in Birmingham, Alabama. Nick Dugas, the referee. Horner keeping a side headlock. Has Mr. Brown well under control at this point in time.
Yep, cover the mouth so nobody sees him
Brown gets ahead.
telling you what to do.
Beautiful move by Horner. Reverse the
See,
weight.
that's what's missing now. Like this good chain wrestling. Nothing wrong with some good chain wrestling. Sometimes you do see it, sometimes you don't. Not saying dives ain't cool to watch, but sometimes you just the marquee does say wrestling, so be nice to see some chain wrestling every now and then.
Nice to see Tim back in action once again. And whenever we have a chance, we can.
No, I kind of get it. You got the bigger arenas and stuff like that, and TV just, you know, sometimes it don't.
Or an athletic director at a high school.
Sort of. I mean, do you sometimes see that from Gable? I mean, the Gable Sami Zayn match this past week was pretty decent.
And check with C. Ronald West about
The Gunther Gable match was way better.
Into your area.
Lots of good chain wrestling stuff.
The NWA President Bob Geigo said that 1986 wrestling will be brought to every town and hamlet in the United States if possible and if there are proper facilities. All right, they square off, collar and elbow once again. And it's Brown getting the side headlock. Horner fires him off. Beautiful drop toe hold and a float up by Horner. An inverted press by Horner. Well executed. Horner is a man who does not waste any motion or any time in the ring. He's not an overly cautious competitor, but he's a very smooth competitor.
Yeah, kind of. That's a classic amateur wrestling training combination, the double chicken wing. So Timmy Horner definitely knows his amateur wrestling. But yeah, like I said, Tim Horner was very smooth in the ring. Like a huge fan of Brad Armstrong. He was really smooth in the ring.
Armstrong against Robert Fuller. Oh, Brown trying to get some extra leverage that time. Good Irish whip has Horner possibly in trouble. Brown using the
Paul Brown coming back saying, look.
Brown brings Horner up.
He's going to go for the win right here. Go for the coup de grace.
It's Brown closing in on his man once again. Another Irish whip. Horner off the ropes. Horner ducked away from it. Cross body block perfectly executed. No, sir. Brown slipped away before the count. Another Irish whip off the ropes.
Nice drop kick.
And again.
And actually, Tim Horner and Brad Armstrong made a pretty good tag team, too. They were national tag team champions a couple years prior to this. They were also UWF tag team champions. Not the last ones, but the Sheepers were actually the last ones.
Nice move.
But next to the last ones.
Horner powers out. Came away from a possible hangman.
Oh, brother.
That time using the forearm very effectively. Horner's got some problems, and Horner's got everything to lose here. Number 4 rated. Outside cradle. Not quite enough for a pinfall. Brown punishing his man.
Oh.
Horner taking a chop into the throat. Horner catches him in the midsection. Brown retaliates. Brown has him up. Good move by Horner.
All done for now. Up now.
He's got a saddle ride.
Not the had the O'Connor roll, but his finishing move was the O'Connor roll into the bridge.
Reversal on the Irish whip. Saddle roll.
Oh.
He's got his man in a ride
Whoa.
now.
There you go, victory roll.
Somersault hooks him nicely.
I guess he couldn't get the O'Connor with a bridge, so he went for the victory roll on this one. They get the 1, 2, 3. But yeah, his finishing combination was the O'Connor roll into a bridge. So not a flashy guy, but definitely serviceable talent.
Go to the 4th-ranked United States Junior Champion. Here is Tim Horner, the winner.
Well, we can take another look at that in slow motion.
It's like, whoa, don't drop me, buddy. Don't drop me. Don't drop me. Okay.
Notice the way he sets his man up. Then suddenly gets that forward roll. As he does, he comes up in an inverted saddle ride and catches a perfect pinfall. As we do each week here on Continental Championship Wrestling.
There he is. There's the legend himself. The Bullet. One of the great mass wrestlers of this generation. The Bullet. Close personal friend of the Armstrong family. Close personal friend of Bon Armstrong. So they even got the matching tattoo. That's how close and personal friends they were.
There's another masked man that slipped right in here, and I think you got a film about him. A man that said he was going to be my friend, right? A man said he was going to help me keep this mask on. Well, he took the mask off himself, and he's going to pay the price. And you got a film here that shows just how he did it, and I want to tell you all about it, Gordon.
All right, let's take a look at Mr. Olympia. Another turncoat, another Judas or Benedict Arnold, if you will.
You can see what's happening right here. Tennessee Stud got all wound up in things, and we come after crawling and fighting around like two burr-head dogs. And you can see I ended up on top right here, and I'm
Who is that, the Bullet?
like it ought to be stroked. That Tennessee
Or Bob
Stud
Armstrong?
my hair so long, I ain't gonna take no more of it. Now you're gonna see Mr.
Come on, keep kayfabe alive,
I
brother.
thought he was there to help me. Look at it, headbutting me in the back of the head, and I
Oh.
But one thing they didn't count on, Gordon, this mask I got a steel reinforced strap goes right under my chin. When he knocked me out, I run two fingers right here, brother, and I grabbed the whole of that mask. And that's why he ain't getting it off in such a hurry like he thought he was. Now in the background was Brad Armstrong. You can see him coming down. He knew what was about to happen. He was trying to get in to help me, and here's old rhinoceros-butted Flame here kicking him off. Here's Olympia having a bad time with this mask, see? Because I got them fingers hooked
And yes,
real hard, brother.
the guy in the white shirt and everything, that's the original Tennessee Stud, Ron Fuller. Tall dude. So I think he was legit 6'10". Yeah, Bullet Bob.
But you're going to see as soon as Olympia takes this mask off, Mr. Brad Armstrong is Johnny on the spot. And they never saw this face, brother. They never saw this face one time. I've looked at this film 100 times. I know you have too. Now, you don't see no face, do you?
No, sir.
All right, that's enough of that film. Let's get out of that film. Can we get out?
All right, I'll tell you what.
And let's see, that's
We have another interesting
still,
situation.
since we're not really keeping up with kayfabe, that was the Flame, who wrestled in other places as the Assassin. I do believe there was he had his own Georgia promotion called Deep South Wrestling. I believe at the same time here, and he wrestled as the Assassin there. But here he was the Flame, and actually he done an interview. It's like, look, at the time, they kind of butchered the Assassin name, so I couldn't come in as the Assassin. So he said, look, I'm just going to be the Flame, and he would, oh, here we go. God dang. He threw that flash paper a long way. Okay, so I guess that was his last appearance here, and so he could concentrate on Deep South Wrestling. And Deep South, it had a few young stars. Had Ranger Ross, Dwayne Bruce, who would wrestle as Sergeant Budley Parker, was known as the Sarge in the power plant, one of the trainers at the power plant. Let's see. And of course, Tommy Rich was there. The Nightmares were there, and a new tag team called the Nightmares. So you had the original Nightmares and the new Nightmares. Who is that dude? I don't remember him. How come I don't remember him? Oh, okay. I guess that's.
You know what that means, Gordon? That means he's crazy to put that belt up against Boomer Ray's legs. I'm going to take the Alabama title and give it to myself, the representative of South Africa.
Star it in a.
On the 14th of January, we're going to be going to Talladega on
what
the 15th, and this coming Monday night, in the words of your own language, Boomer Ray's league, which means flat belly hanging over your rhinoceros butt, Boomer. You got a shot at this Alabama title. But is he going to get it? I don't think so. Boomer Lee. You might try hard to get his belt away from Roberto.
But he was one of the up and coming stars in Georgia or at least the ABC booking office that had Paul Jones, the promoter, not the wrestler. I think Buddy Fuller was one of the owners, and Ray Gunkel. Well, Ray Gunkel passed away, then Something happened there, and Gunkel wound up getting a bunch of talent. Just pretty much everybody except for Bob Armstrong, because I think the Fullers, I think I mentioned before on a few of these. The Fullers, pretty much helped. I guess I don't know if they trained him or at least gave him his big break. Uh, put him in a good spot. Uh, but yeah, Bob Armstrong, Roberto, and Sputnik Moreau. Yeah, Sputnik was definitely a legend too. But anyway, everybody went with Gunkel except for uh, one of my favorite entrance music here too. Let's take I'll take a break.
First of all, making his way to ringside.
Oops. I forgot. I don't want Gene Simmons or Paul Stanley to come sue me. Uh, but anyway, so when Ann Gunkel broke away from the ABC booking to form All South Wrestling, she basically took everybody. I mean, both the Samus, Tom Resto, I guess, retired, became her booker, and Roberto Soto was one of the talents that went with Ann Gunkel. Like I said, Bob Armstrong was probably one of, I think, one of the people to stay because he was, faithful to the Fullers and because the ones that gave him his break. And speaking of Brad, there he is. And Robert Fuller, he's legendary in other things besides this wrestling. Oh, he was Colonel Robert Parker in WCW, and who was he in? Basically, Colonel Robert Parker also, but they gave him another name in the WWF when he managed Jeff Jarrett briefly, very briefly. And Robert Fuller, he's a tall dude too. He's like 6'4", 6'5", something like that.
All on the line right here on Continental Championship Wrestling. And Fuller displaying that trophy very proudly right now.
Yeah, Robert Fuller was 6'5".
And there it goes on the table. The luscious one saying something to Mike Jackson, and now it is Brad Armstrong complaining about something. Referee Nick Dukas checking him out.
And Ron Fuller was 6'9". I think I said 6'10", but Ron was 6'9". Of course, their cousin was Jimmy Golden, who wrestled as Bunkhouse Buck.
And checking the one boot. However, he wears that other boot that is pretty well built. A beautiful wing over by Brad Armstrong. And the luscious one is
That's how easy to get. I mean, you got a pretty good babyface right there in Brad Armstrong. People in that territory, the fans love Brad Armstrong in that area. And just accuse him of cheating will draw you heat.
Good block by Armstrong, and he counters with a nice right hand.
And look at him. He's just going to roll out. Oh, there he is. Complaining about he used a right hand or use a punch, even though Robert Fuller was going for a punch too.
A lot of action on this hour of Continental Championship Wrestling. Right from the situation with Tommy and Johnny Rich to the appearance of Lady Maxine. And he misses, and it's Armstrong. Good atomic knee drop. Fuller over that top rope.
And Brad Armstrong was about to hit his prime right here. I think later on in 1986, Brad Armstrong joined Jim Crockett Promotions.
Television time remaining. circling the ring.
Like I said, speaking of Roberto Soto. But yeah, I guess right here, you know, they kind of say, okay, let bygones be bygones. We'll give you a job here in Continental.
They square off once again. He gets a good full-on dragon twist. Now goes into an arm bar. Wide stance. So Fuller's in a three-point position right now. Armstrong drives him down to the canvas. Drives the knee into the side of the rib cage and also the biceps and triceps.
And see, this what made. I don't know if you hear all of it. I don't know how well you hear me, but that's what made Gordon Soley's commentary that much good. He actually did put legitimacy of what was going on, and you know when like he just said there, he's like, you know, Brad Armstrong had him in a hammerlock, and this what parts of the body and parts of the muscles, joints, or whatever is affected by this hold right here, and explain it to everybody. It's like, yeah, this is why it hurts.
Outside the ring. And it is...
And Brad Armstrong acts like he's going to take that arm home with him.
Armstrong continuing to punish Fuller. So the Continental TV champion.
Yeah, Spudnik Monroe was an absolute legend.
His problems.
And I mean, was as far as wrestlers, you know, very much in that civil rights fight too. I think he once said, "Hey, if you know, black, you know, fans can't come in, I'm not going to wrestle." And you know, dude is a white guy. I think that's a legend. What everybody says. Oh, ran into that knee.
Armstrong was charging, and it was Fuller driving that knee into the side of the head, and now well-placed boots into the rib cage, onto the hand of Brad Armstrong.
There you go. That's something you didn't see often, even back then. Definitely don't see it now. I don't know if y'all did notice that where Bart Fuller, you know, was choking him. Brad Armstrong actually put his hand out, you know, like, you know, he was trying to get Robert Fuller to, you know, move his hands from his throat. So he definitely worked for Bill Watts. Bill Watts hated that. When people, you know, sit there, you know, if a wrestler was choking another wrestler, and oh, he had to load a boot. Missed again. Oh, here comes the big comeback. But he hated when people would be getting choked, and that's the drop kick. I'm sorry, I don't mean to lose my focus, but best drop kick ever in wrestling was from Brad Armstrong. He delivered the best ever. Don't let anybody say, oh, Okada or AJ Styles or Bob Holly, whoever. Brad Armstrong, best drop kick ever. Notice he didn't have to slap his leg to deliver a drop kick. Oh, here comes the rest of the stable right here. Mr. Olympia. But, what was I talking about? Anyway, yeah, Bill Watts hated when a wrestler's being choked and they just, you know, raise their arms like this, you know, flopping their arms. It's like, nah, dude, if somebody's choking, you're going to do like that and trying to pull their hand away. And Brad Armstrong did a good job doing that. What?
Continental
Now,
Championship
see, that's
Wrestling
how they
returns to
will
Birmingham at
get you to
Buffalo
tune in for
Monday
next
night.
week.
The
They
time is 8
give
p.m.
you a
The
BS
annual
finish on the
Southeastern
show.
Tag Team
Also,
Championship.
they give you a BS finish on the show between two top stars. That way, you go buy a ticket to the arena and see the match. If you want to see a winner, you don't have to pay to see a winner or absolute winner. You get let's go and put two stars together and get a solid finish or whatever.
The match will be continued.
You think you're better than us? You straight-faced piece of nothing, punk! To take my trophy! Your office can't take my trophy! Your referee can't take it! And they know I'm so not enough to sign it, much less hold it!
Well, I'll tell you what, let's see what they've got to say in the ring. Let's go to Mike Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of championships up. One of them, the Continental Trophy. That's exactly right. The TV title represents the people of the Continental Wrestling area. Robert Fuller, it's up for grabs on one-on-one. Can you stand the heat? Bullet, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. Robert Fuller's all shook up, ain't he?
I'm all shook up for one thing about it. You ain't the TV champion this week, and you ain't gonna be next week. We're talking about Night of Champions. Folks gonna see a lot of champions, but if they look right up there, they see 3 champions.
Gordon, rebuttal.
Yes. Bob Armstrong, I might not have got the job done the first time, and I might not be $10,000 richer, but I got a chance for $20,000, and you better believe I'm gonna kick your butt and get my 20,000. Hey, wait. Oh, wait. Should we go get him?
Well, watch for the Night of Champions. Don't forget, the Alabama title on the line as well. We'll be right back.
But yeah, I mean, it's little angles like that, $20,000 bounties.
But our time is completely gone. Don't forget, the U.S. Junior Heavyweight Championship will be decided. Tim Horner going up against Ken Timms. And next week, here on the Continental Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, Ken Timms, that's another Southeast legend there. Don't hear much about him, but I mean, he definitely kind of stayed around the Southeast. I mean, during that times, you made a living, not really having to travel far doing these territories. But, oops. But yeah, that's kind of how, like I said, that's kind of how it did. Stars sometimes will wrestle a nobody, or somebody who's in important angles, or stars if you want to call it, would wrestle really nobodies, and they would just do little angles like that, to get people to go buy a ticket. Nowadays, you hate to make fun of them anymore. You got that one promotion who wants to talk about another promotion and do some virtue signaling, and nothing really sells pay-per-view or get people to buy into his promotion. I mean, they don't do house shows, so that really does not matter. But yeah, that's a little taste there. You got to see a lot of action there. You got to see the angle with the Nightmares, Tar and Feather, Johnny Rich. That set up their house show match. Another house show match was set up by a match between Brad Armstrong and Robert Fuller, excuse me. Let's see. You got to see Tim Horner in action. You got to see the Riches in action. I'm on the wrong thing here. Who else do we see? Got to see the legend himself. I think was it last year he passed away, Adrian Street. Come on here. Yeah, he passed away July last year. Uh, and you see, that guy was he was very talented. Um, I mean, he had his gimmick, had the I mean, at the time, it's Elton John was popular at the time, and of course, he's from the United Kingdom. Adrian Street was, and it's like, oh, let's do this flamboyant gimmick here. But he wasn't, he wasn't a homosexual or anything. He just had that persona, and he knew he can draw heat with it, uh, and he did. And hey, they were switching babyface, and and people were still people started cheering him, and he got over. I think during yeah, the South has some good territories. I mean, that's we first two episodes here we kicked it out. You know, both Memphis and now the Continental Championship Wrestling, which used to be Southeastern Championship Wrestling. Uh, the original Southeast was in Knoxville. Then Ron Fuller trying to open up a second, or he did open up a second kind of office, I guess, in Pensacola, Florida, and ran both companies, and sometimes he just switched his own talent around. But uh, there was a Knoxville wrestling war. Uh, who was it? Um, Ron Garvin and Bob Roop, uh, Bob Orton, Boris Malenko. Kind of was one group against the Fullers, and kind of basically it buried, it killed killed wrestling in Knoxville for a while. I think it was this, you know, in the '90s it was rejuvenated a little bit with Smoky Mountain Wrestling. I think there's a couple times. I mean, periodically, uh, they would go back to Knoxville for a house show or something like that, but still didn't quite work out. Then uh, Ron Fuller would sell Continental, open up USA Wrestling that was in Knoxville. Had a lot of the Continental stars like Wendell Cooley, uh, Davey, and Johnny Rich. Uh, who else? Had Nelson Rule, the World Junior Heavyweight Champion. He had a few with Scott Armstrong. Pretty good stuff there. Doug Furness, a young Doug Furness. Terry Gordy made his way there as well. But I guess obviously it didn't last too long. Um, mm, I mean that kind of probably it didn't happen in the '80s because you got to remember the North had the bigger stars. Um, I mean, uh, of course, Hulk Hogan, he'd do his Hulk out, whatever. But I mean, the US Express, they would sell. British Bulldogs, they would sell. Heart Foundation. Uh, I mean, what, especially around this time, '86 is when Vince was taking over everything. That's what kind of poisoned it when they, since somebody gets somewhat big, they, snatch them up and make them bigger stars or change their name and stuff like that. But uh, now they're in the habit of kind of creating their own stars, but like the indie scene, yeah, it kind of uh, like I said, the spot fest. I call it video game. I've got to where I call it video game wrestling. Uh, Guess that's what it is. You just do a bunch of spots on a video game. You don't grab a hold, grab an arm. I mean, they got grapple modes in some of the games, but for the most part, good luck getting those. They don't. The grapple modes don't last too long, and they don't go too long in the match. Then you're back, just doing spots and stuff like that. So it's kind of like what they do now. They just do spots. I mean, I mean, it'd be nice to see some good chain wrestling. But yeah, East, yeah, CZW Ring of Honor was very big on that Spot Fest thing. Then later on, the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, along with Ring of Honor, and you know, CZW was just that. CZW is just that ultraviolet death match type deal. And you had XPW, which sucked. It was ran by porn director, porn company. Uh, I mean, obviously, I mean, it's not the part where it's not the part where it was owned by a porn company or a guy who did porn or not did produce porn or whatever. It's just that he went in there trying to be a star himself. Yeah, the ECWA, yeah, they had a lot of spot fest type stuff from when I was very little what I seen. Um, but the thing about it, WWE keeps things sort of grounded because they do invest a lot of time in these in their talent and money, so therefore they want them to be trying to be a safe. Put on exciting stuff. Yeah, push the envelope. I'm pretty sure if they had it their way, everybody's be wrestling like headlock takedowns and punch and kick, which some of them do, but at least you have variety though. Um, Not much variety because sometimes you'll watch Dynamite and see one match and then see two matches, and it's like okay. By the end of the show, it's like hey, yeah, yeah, that's what I was talking about. The 2000s indie stuff, Ring of Honor, CCW, ECWA, like you mentioned. Um, they really put that like I call it video game wrestling, because that's basically I mean they probably did watch WWE, the Attitude Era, and all that, and then play the video games, and um, they sort of want to side with. Oh, that's what I want to do. I just want to just do move. I just want to do moves. You know, swinging DDT, tornado DDT, and hurricanranas, and dive, and yeah, we'll do some chops, but um, some of them sell, some of them don't. Oh, we got definitely got to do our Japan. That's another thing. It's like some of these people came over to Japan, which is, I mean, nothing against Japan. I for a long time I did like Japan stuff. Um, I mean, I'm going all the way back to like uh, the Great or uh, the Great Muda, uh, and all them. Kensuke Sasaki. Then they had the Americans there, stuff like that, which were big stars, big dudes, and you talking about some stiff shit. Go back watch 80, probably like 70s, 80s, uh, 90s stuff. Then of course later on you got the video game players. They went up there and they just want to do spot, like you said, spot. Okay, move one. Um, can't say I don't like a good deathmatch tournament or a good PWG show or Ring of Honor, but nothing beats A's. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like I was mentioning yesterday. Is sometimes it's storytelling. You want we know it's but we want a story to go with it. We can sit there ourselves and play the video games and uh, play the characters ourselves. And why should we buy a ticket? To see it? Because yeah, it's cool to see. I mean, the two AEW shows I went to, great live shows, but as far as any kind of story, there's nothing to really. It's not really a story. They try to, but some people try to. It's like, really, not not buying this. Um, but yeah, nothing really beats seeing gotta watch the classic stuff. I mean, unfortunately, the people. If I was a if big if, uh, I think if I was a wrestler and became good at it, but then retired and opened up my own wrestling school, I would open up a wrestling school. Okay, we'll learn how to protect yourself, the basic stuff. Not only we're gonna do the basic stuff, you're gonna learn some history. We're gonna watch some tapes. We're gonna watch and critique stuff. Um, this is why they drew money. Uh, back before WWF, Vince McMahon came in and kind of bought everything. Uh, these territories were striving. I mean, they're not. I mean, not all of them. Some of them were, but a lot of them, like Dallas, Georgia, Louisiana, Florida. I mean, people. I mean, they would exchange talent. Somebody gets stale, or Memphis also. Uh, and they make at that time good living. Uh, basically able to afford a mortgage, food on the table, lights on. Uh, and sometimes you see stars with name brand clothes and stuff like that. And uh, I mean, of course, when it came to TV, because they used TV for advertisement. This is our. It's almost like an infomercial. It's like, okay, here's our stars. Come pay a ticket. Come come to the arena, buy a ticket, and see what happens. Will Will Brad Armstrong beat Robert Fuller for this, held up now Continental Television Champion? Will Tommy and Johnny Rich get their revenge on the Nightmares who tarred and feathered Johnny? Will Tim Horner be the next United States Junior Heavyweight Champion against Tibbs? Uh, will Roberto Cerro able to keep his Alabama championship? This territory did have a lot of belts, so I will give him that. I think did take too long. They abandoned that whole Continental Television trophy because they had the Continental Championship, they had the Alabama Championship. And I think once it switched from Southeastern to Continental, they dropped the Southeastern, but still had the Southeastern Tag Team Championships. I think that wound up becoming Continental Tag Team Champions. But sometimes they had too many belts. Um, but yeah, they dropped the Continental Television. They still kept the Alabama Heavyweight Championship. Then the main one was the was the Continental Championship. But I think Alabama was almost okay. It kind of served the purpose of being the television, like the second, uh, the second major title there. But anyway, they had a United States Junior Champion. Supposed to be the number one contender for the World Junior Champion. But I can take it in smaller quantities, but I can't watch. I can watch. Yeah, I can watch old wrestling all day. Deathmatch stuff. Deathmatch is like baseball. Um, I can watch a little bit of baseball on TV, then kind of easily get tuned out. Unless it's just one of those high score, rarely seen high scoring. Well, these days that somewhat high scoring. You get seven, 7-6 ball games, 7 or 8-5, whatever ball games. Um, but if I see a baseball game live, I can really get into it. and it's really good. Death matches, it's just not my cup of tea. Uh, I can see one, but I can't. Uh, I think you actually loaned me a tape one time of nothing but death matches, and it just took me a while to finish that one. It's like I couldn't watch it all in one sitting. It was like, okay, light tubes, hooray! Uh, uh, AIDS infected blade on a rope match. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Uh, quick explanation of that one. There's you used to order from a company called R Video. I think they're still around, but I think they just do streaming or not even just a monthly streaming. I guess you go there, you buy it, it gets downloaded, you watch it. Any of their anything in their video collection, I guess. And but we used to order, at the time VHS tapes and DVDs, but this was a VHS tape. It was called Exposing the Business 90 something. I think that's what it was called. And I was like, oh, let's check this out. I bought it. Uh, the second worst tape okay, the worst tape besides the Jimmy Snuka Sheeran review I ordered from that I ever ordered from them. It was just garbage stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm admitting I bought that one, and I thought it was just, oh, okay, this is going to be another exposing the business type, breaking kayfabe thing, but it was garbage. It. Pardon my language. It was a shits, literally. Like I think that's the first thing you seen in the video was a dude defecating in public in the street or something like that. Then you had the wrestling part, which was this mumbo jumbo garbage, and you had, like I said, one of the matches, the AIDS infected blade on a rope match, where everybody had to go over and get the AIDS infected, juice themselves with a with a AIDS infected blade. It was just, oh, it was garbage. Uh, I actually watched fast forward through it recently when copying tapes to DVD. Yeah, it was a hard watch. Some girl broke her ankle or something like that. She was on an apron and jumped off, and she was wearing high heels and then broke her ankle. I think Dave Meltzer was there. He probably gave everything a 10-star review, whatever. I don't know. But it wasn't. Oh gosh. Even for me, I was like, I mean, I think I remember all of us sitting there going, "What the is this? What?" I mean, y'all both looked at me like, "What the did you just buy?" I'm like, "Dude, I didn't know. I thought it was just one of those breaking kayfabe type. I didn't know it was this, you know, hot garbage. It was just the shits." And I think somebody on YouTube recently watched it and reviewed it. Wasn't nobody. I think it was just a YouTuber. Wasn't Dave Meltzer or Jim Cornette or anybody like that. It was just some random person who watched it, and it was, like I said, it was garbage. Uh, I think that was the first and last time I watched that one. I think, yeah, it had the bum defecating in the street. Called him Paulie dangerously. Uh, it it was it was horrible. It was horrible. I am surprised I actually kept. Obviously, it was in a box where, uh, yeah, God, You say go off, but god awful. It was god. I mean, I can't stress enough how god awful this is. Actually, there's going to be somebody who watches this, maybe in a replay, or maybe somebody's watching this now. It's not in the chat. It's going to like trying to find this to see how god awful it is. I highly recommend you don't do that. If there's one wrestling video or anything to do with wrestling, I will 100% say I recommend you not watch it. It is this one. Do not watch it. It's the shits. Like the drizzling shits. Not the good shits. I'm talking about the drizzling, god awful shits. Pardon my language. It's 10 o'clock. The kids should be in bed. Or playing, Nintendo Switch or whatever. Not listen to a grown man talking about how shitty this tape was. But yeah, it was just god awful. God, just. I mean, I try to prime myself of getting good stuff. This was my buddy should have took baseball bats and beat the hell out of me for even buying this. And I'm surprised I never did throw it away. It was kept in the box for a reason. I think it's probably got so much. I guarantee you that videotape didn't get worn out. The only thing that worn it out is probably old age and collecting dust. And yeah, that's being nice. Like I said, don't search it. Don't try to find it. Don't. I highly recommend you not watch this. It's. I'm telling you, do not watch this. If you do go out and watch it and you put a comment saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you even mentioned this. This is god awful." Listen to me. I'm saying not watch it. I'm saying highly recommend you not watch. Don't even look for it. It's that bad. Um, anyway, like I said, it is getting to the 10 o'clock hour here. Going to put this show to rest for this week. Appreciate everybody tuning in this week. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Also, if you check out the replay, appreciate you watching too. Like I said, hit the like if you're entertained. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about it. And tune in next week for episode 3. I very much thinking about doing Portland next week. I've never really watched Portland wrestling. And if you go, I actually talked about that in the Classic Wrestling Reminiscing about the Tales from the Territories Portland episode. That this is one of those promotions I never did get a chance to watch, except for on Pro Wrestling This Week. So if you're watching this far and you're a fan of Portland wrestling, give me like a year. Or reasonable, 83, 84, 85, 86, even 90. If something in the 90s would be good in Portland, let me know, and I'll get on the YouTube machine and trying to find something. But yeah, like I said, next week I think I'm going to try out Portland and kind of just watch some Portland for the first time. And I've not really taken advantage of. I mean, I know somebody out there has put a lot of Portland stuff on there, but never really fully took advantage of watching everything. So definitely going to be dipping my toes in the Portland territory and the Pacific Northwest territory, and just check it out and talk about it. Not going. I mean, I might remember some of the stars and what they did after Portland. I'll probably have to do a little bit of research to kind of make it interesting, but instead of going, okay, where did this lead to or that lead to? But like I said, give me a year if you want to, or I'll just pull one up randomly and see how it goes. But until then, like I said, tune in next week. We'll check out some Portland, do some this date in wrestling history. Next week will be April 26th. So whatever happened April 26th in the past years. I'll discuss that a little bit and watch some Portland wrestling and check that out. And highly recommend. Don't you even try to find that video. Whoops. It'll be bad for you. It'll be bad for your eyes. It'll burn your eyes. That one, and take it easy. Hey there, thank you for checking this out. If you enjoyed it, share with friends, drop a like button, leave a comment. Also, be a champ and hit that subscribe button. You can also check me out on social media, Facebook at Ronald Ray, on X or Twitter is RPATRPTV46. Until